how are you doing? Thanks so much for having me again. Today is one of my favorite topics, and I want to say from the beginning that I'm not going to give you a set of rules that you need to live by, because I think this is the beauty of your personal brand, that actually this content can work in a way that's going to suit you, because I want you to have a really brilliant, long, exciting career. And we are human beings. We are not machines. So I'm not going to be saying things like, you need to be blogging twice a week, or we need to do the X, Y, and Z. This is about your business. This is about your brand and doing what feels really good. So here we go. If we haven't met before, I know some of you have been to some of the other events, but I am a lover of the portfolio career. So this is how I make money, basically. That's what it kind of comes down to. I'm an actor, I'm a personal branding coach, I'm a writer, I'm a speaker, I'm a podcaster, and I do lots of different things. I have this portfolio career, which I absolutely love. I've got 2 small children as well. So I love that I can balance all these creative things and family life. And I was going to say, and I do it effortlessly. I really don't, but we're all doing it imperfectly. So welcome. Okay, today, in terms of content, I want you to think about you're just joining the conversation. And I think this pressure, as soon as we talk about content, there is that first hurdle to get over of like, what if people I know see me showing up on the internet? Or how do I talk about my business? Or I don't want people to think that I'm being all salesy and weird and sleazy. And so taking that pressure off and saying, I'm simply joining the conversation, will not only put you in a grounded place where you can go, okay, right. Let's look at this logically. Let's think about what the next step is. It will really support you along the way. So yes, of course, there is the creation part of it. So whether it's creating a blog or a video or a piece of audio or an article, there's also a sense of contributing. So joining the conversation, commenting on what other people are doing, being a collaborator, being somebody lovely on the internet who really champions other people. And also there's a third part of this, which is the sharing part. And this is how we know that content is really going far and wide. And it doesn't have to be you don't have to be the one who's creating it, basically. So the other day, for example, I'm not on TikTok, but somebody reshared something on Instagram about how they get the pit out of their avocado. And there was some kind of weird maneuver that this person was able to do. And I shared it. And I'm not an avocado expert. I'm not even particularly a great cook or anything like that. But it got engagement from me sharing it on my stories, because people were like, oh my goodness. And it started a conversation in that way. So take that pressure off. There are lots of ways you can do this. So here are a few examples. You can have articles, blogs, podcasts, behind the scenes, pictures, showing who you are in the world, conversation starters, humor. So I'm sharing a bit of a pick and mix here of all of the things that you could do, because again, I think it's this moment of going, gosh, I don't have a drone, or I don't know how to write 5,000 words about something. So taking this pressure off yourself to think, actually, this could be a bit of a pick and mix of stuff that I like, stuff that I'm inspired by, stuff that I know my audience will love to hear. So really shaking it up in this way. Also, you might be looking at some of those things going, Nikki, I don't care what you say about podcasts or videos. Absolutely no way am I putting my face on the internet. And again, that's absolutely fine. Given your goals, your circumstances, your personality, what you want to do, it may not even be relevant anyway. So this is where I ask you this question, and you're going to get a copy of the deck afterwards, because you might want to take these questions to a big piece of paper and a big bag of Sharpies, which I always have, where I'm like, I need to draw this out. I need to get all of these things out of my head onto a piece of paper. Or it might be a case that you want to go and take it to the gym, or a walk around the block, or go and sit in a cafe and have a ponder, or lie on your living room floor, whatever it might be. But I'd love you to give these ideas, these journaling points, some thought and some consideration. And there are absolutely no rules here. So whatever you say to these kind of questions, and if you want to declare or share or ask a question at the end, there will be absolutely time for that too. But as you do this, I want you to see if you can get as specific as possible. So I know there can be this thing of like, in terms of your personal brand, what is the next chapter for you? You might go, I just want some more clients, or I just want to be somebody on the internet that people know, or I just want to earn more money, or whatever it might be. The more that you can get specific with your answers, the easier it's going to be to actually build the plan to make those things happen. And asking yourself, what do you want to be known for? Now, I am somebody who has lots of interests in lots of different things. But in terms of me being an expert, and I'm using those in bunny ears, there are lots of things that, for example, I am not an expert in. But I might go on Instagram and go, oh, that's a lovely home office. Oh, I really like the way they put that together. Or I find myself like watching a video the other day about how somebody hangs wallpaper. Now, I'm not ever going to make one of those videos myself, because I think you just see like a hot, sweaty mess in a corner trying to like keep a ladder up and do all of the things. So figuring out what you want to consume, but then going, so where is my place in this? And what do I want to be known for? And how can I be really useful for people? Equally, what don't you want to be known for? And therefore, what is your alternative? So in the self-development world, which I guess that I would be in, there's a lot of chats. I'm sure we've all seen them, the YouTube adverts at the beginning of videos where everybody's a bit shouty and they're saying, these are the 5 ways that you can make money right now. And they're talking from their gold car and they live in a castle, and we don't really know who these people are, but they're just shouting at us so they get our attention. For me, I do not want to market like that. It would feel weird. And I think this is also a sign as well. If when you're going through this process, if there's some sensation in your body or the way that you're speaking where you're like, oof, oh no, please trust that. Now, this is not about comfort zones. This is sometimes like when you smell something or when you taste something, you're like, that's not for me. Oh no, can't think of anything worse. So really trust that moment of what you don't want to be known for. Because with lots of industries, sometimes everybody seems to be doing the same thing. And there might be a part of you where you're like, that doesn't feel good. That doesn't feel like the best use of my time. That doesn't feel like that's the way for me. So trust that. But also consider what's your alternative. So one of the things that I've noticed, for example, with my coaching clients is one of the same phrases comes up again. At the end of a session together, they might say, whew, I've never told anybody that before. And oh, that feels a bit scary, but it feels good. So quite often there's a vulnerability there. Quite often there's an element of sharing and needing to be heard. So therefore, the way that I market, it's very conversational. It's not like me standing over here being the expert and shouting at people like a game show host. It's about being eyeball to eyeball and having that conversation. So really think about your alternative, and you might not necessarily see it in your industry yet, but again, bring your personality, bring what feels good to the table, because people will be attracted to that. Oprah Winfrey is always talking about intentions, and that phrase just really resonates with me. So as with anything that you do in business, keep checking in with your intentions. Why are you doing what you're doing? What is the point of it? What do you want to gain from it? What do you want to give? What do you want to produce? What is the messaging behind this? How does this piece fit in with the rest of the puzzle of your business? And check the easy wins. So there are certainly moments where I could share pictures of my children or pictures of a really nice glass of wine that I'm having on a Friday night, or a delicious meal, or some place fancy that I've been, or first class travel, or, you know, all of those sort of clicky things where people go, she's at the Ritz today. Oh, and checking in with the easy wins. Now, if I did that all day long, I actually wouldn't be using my content, my social media, my website for growing my business. Now, there is an importance for me as a mum, I guess, to show that I actually spend time with my children. And when I'm talking about being a working mum and creating a work that works for me, people do vaguely sort of sometimes need to see, sorry, there's a very loud Lamborghini or something going on driving past. But yeah, that people need to see that I actually spend time with my children, because there's absolutely no point wanging on about all these systems and things that I have if I don't actually do that. But checking in with the easy wins is really important, because when you go back over your previous content, you want to make sure that actually the content that you're creating is linking with what your next chapter is going to look like, and that it's all connected, because otherwise it just becomes a bit confused and a bit of a kind of scrapbook, I guess. So how can content be a great use of your time? And I want you to flip around. And again, I want you to use these questions and really think practically about how you can do this. So one way that content is really great is that we can get to know you. And sometimes people can feel a bit restricted behind a website, because you have to nail your whole personality in 3 paragraphs. And you might get to the end of that and go, oh, I don't know, it still doesn't feel like me, or I'm not really sure. Whereas with your content, you can really start to let us in. We can get to know you. We can get to know what you're like, your flavor, what you're interested in, what you're excited about, and really start to go a little bit behind the scenes. You can also start to raise your profile and be a lovely person on the internet. Now, there can sometimes feel like this pressure, especially if you do a workshop like this, where you're like, oh gosh, I've got to be, I've got to do content, I've got to build stuff, I've got to do things immediately. Just start being a really great person on the internet. Start with those second things like sharing and contributing. And what you'll find is if you do that lots, people will start to investigate you, like, who is that lovely person? I noticed there used to be a presenter years and years ago when I was a teenager called Gabby Roslin, and she was the co-host of The Big Breakfast, which is a big show over here in the UK. And I noticed quite often, and I don't know if it was the algorithm or something like that, she is commenting on so many of the posts that I follow, like, have a wonderful birthday, or good luck today. Like, she just seems to be a really lovely, great person on the internet. And again, that fits in with her personal brand. She has a radio show. She's really into communication. She's engaging. She's holding space for people so they can share their secrets or share who they are. So this is a really good way. So have a think about how you could start to raise your profile and be in the conversation. Also, as an audience, we can be educated. So what could you share? How could you create content that is really going to give loads of value? And I don't necessarily mean like 3 ways you can do X, Y, and Z. Look at ways where you can really go deep, where you can give the stuff that people, it's almost like you're whispering to somebody and somebody goes, oh, yeah, because actually that's the information that I want. That's the stuff. Why has nobody spoken about this before? Really think about what you can offer in this scenario, because if you can share something, if you can educate people in a way that other people are not, it's going to make you really compelling, and people are going to come back to you again and again. We can also build a relationship with you, so we can know, like, and trust you. So again, this is a really great exercise to think, how can I do this? How can I show up in a way that I'm consistent, that I'm reliable, that I'm professional, that I can show people that I'm a good person, that I'm a safe bet? all those kind of very non-exotic type qualities, you know, those standard, I'm hardworking, I'm determined, I do what I say that I'm going to do. All of those things, especially if you're thinking about building a personal brand and having that longevity, are going to be really useful and important. We can also see what you can do. So I often see this moment, especially if people make things for Etsy or not on the high street, or I seem to follow lots of people who make pottery, or they make jewelry, or all sorts of things. Those videos where we see what you do, what we see the care and effort that go into things, is really compelling. Also, as a consumer or as a customer, we want to buy, we want to be part of that thing. So there's quite often, especially with videos or something like that, especially around Christmas, people might show how they gift wrap something and how they put together a package or how they get something ready to go. So show us, bring us in, and let us know what you do. I'm just checking okay, that's fine. Sorry, I just wanted to check the chat to make sure that you can still hear me. You can. We can also get a taster. So this isn't necessarily taking all of the pressure away, because there will be moments where you'll have to get on the phone with somebody or have a conversation, but also you can do lots of things before you do that. So you can show people what you do, what you're all about, the transformations that you're creating, what kind of person that you are in the room. And people can experience that from the privacy of their own home. So in 2018, I started working with a client, and I always remember that she came to me and she was like, I've been watching your videos since 2014. But during those 4 years, we'd never had a conversation. I didn't have an interaction with her. I didn't know who she was and what she was all about. And it was really interesting that by the time she came to 2018, she was like, I've had 4 years of this stuff. I'm now at a point and it fits and it feels right. I'm ready to purchase. So you can give people a taster without having to hard sell, essentially. Also, we can buy from you. I've seen it so many times where people will say, I'm doing a workshop tonight. It's going to cover X, Y, and Z. Who would like to come? Here's the link. Purchase your ticket. Content is such a wonderful thing. We've seen it so often on webinars or podcasts. And I know from my mailing list, for example, I can send my mailing list and sales come through. I can send it at 8:01 and by 8:04, there is money in my Stripe account. So do not underestimate the power of these things. Also, as an aside, because it's just come to me and I know it's not in my content further down the line, make it really easy for people. Give people a call to action so they know what to do. There's nothing worse. I often think about people in a system like a car park or a queue or something like that. We like a queue. We like to be told where we need to go, or an airport, for example. If things aren't sort of sectioned off, or if there aren't clear signs, people just end up wandering around aimlessly and then they leave the situation. So if that's you, if you're using your content so people buy from you, really signpost things clearly. Don't make it complicated. Also, you can connect with people. So think about how you can start to do this. The power of content, the power of social media, the internet at the moment, is that lots of people who may not have been previously, you know, the celebrities over in their celebrity world, suddenly we can get in touch with the CEO. We can get in touch with the founder. We can reach out to somebody. We can start a conversation. So think about who those people are in your world that you want to bring in and who you want to get to know, and then make a plan and every effort to do that. You can also build a brand in your sleep. So we are not in a 9-to-5 situation anymore where it's like, okay, I'm turning my sign to open now because it's 9 o'clock, and then I'm turning it to close. Your brand, your internet, your website, your social media can start to be building and planting those seeds with lots of people who may want to buy from you or connect with you in the future in your sleep. So when you're thinking about this content, it's really having that in the back of your mind. of how can you make everything simple? How can you support that person who might be awake at 2 to 3 in the morning going, I need to leave my job. I need to leave my job. Right. I'm going to see what's out there. How can you make that process easier for that sleepy person? And also the power of numbers. You can share with more people than you could ever talk to, maybe within an hour. So if you had to get on the phone to, I don't know, 10 prospective clients in an hour, they would have 6 minutes. What could you create that within that hour could be shared, that so many different more eyeballs and potential prospects, as it were, could get involved with? You can also use it to propel your personal brand. This has been a really interesting moment because people I've known personally who have maybe started thinking, I just want to be a yoga teacher. That will be good for me. I just want to teach classes and I want to do private one-on-ones with people, but I just want to be a teacher. I've noticed by them sharing content, there is a new currency out there. So whether that's working with a brand, whether that's being a speaker, whether that's being an ambassador, whether that's saying and sharing a charitable cause. So they might have 50,000 followers and they say, would everybody mind giving £1? Here's the link, swipe up, check it out. And suddenly they've raised 50 grand. So there are so many ways to propel your brand and knock your own socks off, essentially, that you may not have even considered yet. It also allows you to use your energy wisely. Now, I'm all about this. I'm not about the hustle. I can't even say the words. I'm not about that hustle culture. I have no inclination to work until 2 a.m. and get up at 6 and never have holidays, never have time off and just keep grinding. Absolutely no way. So when I'm in content creating mode, I really like to be there. I like to go to content creating island and have all of the ideas and really use that time wisely. So something like my podcast has been really great for batching. So I can create all my content perhaps in a couple of hours and then it's done. And then it's almost one of those moments where you let butterflies out and it goes and flies and it does what it needs to do without you being there. Also going back to this, using your energy wisely will support your mental health as well. I know that I want to be consistent. I want to be visible online, but not to the point where I'm like, oh gosh, I've got to make a video. I've got to give the fans what they want. I really don't think in that way. Definitely not. But also I want to live my life as well. I don't want to be glued to my phone the whole time. I don't want to feel like I'm on and never having a break. So yeah, really listen to your own needs and make your content and your business work for you. Also, I want you to think about that you're building a body of work. And this is a really great use of your time. If you feel like you're building a body of work, almost like a band, for example. So there are bands that over the years, let's think about the Beatles, because they're a huge band, of course, that they created something in the 70s, a song that has worked for them again and again. And they're seeing that particular song, that track, as building a body of work. And I want you to see your content as this as well, that you're starting to pull it all together. So if somebody said, what's this person all about? What are they into? What's their vibe? You almost have this body of work that will speak and sing for itself. The power of the save option. So whenever I'm, again, going back to being intentional, whenever I'm going to a point of really thinking, okay, what do I want to say here? And how can I make this work, not only in this moment, but if somebody comes a week on Friday at 5 to 4 in the morning? And this is the power of the save option. So even though something like this will go to you and it will go to the people who have registers, in the back of my head, I'm always thinking like, how can I share these ideas further? How can I create more impact with what I want to have to say? So when you're thinking about the save option, because actually there's nothing worse than, for example, doing this, and this was probably before Instagram changed it. But with Instagram, you used to have your stories for 24 hours. And once that 24 hours, even if you've done an amazing like 5-step framework to how to hang wallpaper, you wouldn't be able to use that content again. It would have disappeared. And actually Instagram have changed that slightly now, but the power of the save option is really good to have in the back of your head. So you making sure that you own that content, that it's with you and that you can use it again and again. And repurpose it. So there are things that I was talking about. I mean, I've been running my own brand for 20 years, but there are stories that I use. There are things that I pull out. So for example, I might create a podcast, I might interview somebody, and I might be able to repurpose that content in lots of different ways. And also I bring it back. So just because I created something in 2019 doesn't necessarily mean that it's not relevant now. And in fact, it could be even more relevant now. There could have been something about, I don't know, that I created of like working from home, for example. Well, all of those videos, all of those pieces of content that I created 5, 6, 7 years ago, of course, I can bring them back and I can build on them and add the new relevant spin. So I just wanted to walk you through a piece of content that I would use and how I use it. So I might create a video for my IGTV. So I might record the video on my phone and then post it on Instagram. And then what I might do is I might export it into a podcast. So essentially you can change what the file is from a video format and you can just create just the audio version. So I might use that as the podcast. And then I might put the video on YouTube. So I'm putting it on a different platform. I might then add it to a blog post. So I might write some more details around it and share it with my mailing list as well, and then link it into a blog post that's going to be on my website. I might then link to more podcasts. So my podcast grows. So I might, for example, there might be an episode where I'm talking about planning tools that I use for my business. If I know that I've done some other episodes around this, I will add them down below, because I always think that it's like giving somebody, if you've had a nice meal at somebody's house and you've had the main course and you're like, oh, I wonder what's coming for pudding, or maybe you're not expecting pudding and then there's more things there. That's another really easy way of adding value. I'm also able to link to working with me. So I'm also able to bring those things to the table. And also going back to building a body of work, people, once they see a body of work, it builds that know, like, and trust moment. So here's my challenge for you of how you make this practical. I want you to start to create the containers. And what I mean by this is adding a note section to your phone that is listed content for Instagram, or ideas for blog posts that I want to write. And I want you to create those documents, those folders where everything is going to go in. Because I know as soon as I go on a run or I go out and about, or I'm, doing something completely away from my desk, that's when the ideas start to come. And if I waited until that moment where I was back at my desk and go, oh, what was that thing again that inspired me? It would never come. So sometimes what I do is I just log in and I go to a voice memo and it all comes out. So create those containers and show that you're ready. And again, this will build your confidence because you'll have somewhere to always go back to, as in like, oh, I'm feeling a bit stuck. I don't really know what I should share. I know I should maybe share something today. You've got those containers and there's always going to be something in there. I also want you to think that you're not starting from scratch. So I want you to consider, what are you putting out there already, or what have you put out there already, and curate the best bits. So if there is something that you wrote 2 months ago, or you did a roundup of the year, go back to those pieces, have a look. What did you say? What was going on? Why did it resonate? What were the comments? What were people talking about? And see how you can bring them back. It's almost that thing, especially in fashion, not that I'm a fashionista necessarily, but the little black dress. or the way that a bridal dress could be changed seasons on seasons. People add bits, borrow bits, and make a new, better version. So in terms of this content in this next chapter, I want you to begin with the end in mind. So by creating content, what is your purpose? What do you want to gain from this? So for example, I have some clients that would really like to become speakers and create this as part of an additional revenue stream where they say, well, I'm doing it already, or I'm sharing things on the internet. I'd like to get to a bigger scale. If that's you, begin with the end in mind. So if the end goal is to speak at such and such conference, how can you show those potential bookers and buyers and customers what you do and what you're all about? So if the aim is to become a speaker, for example, create content where you're speaking. And again, this doesn't have to be like, gosh, I've got to prepare a 2-hour keynote and set myself up with a whiteboard or things like that. Make it interesting, make it creative, and do it in a way that feels good to you. So what are you drawn to? And I want you to work with your comfort zone. So when I'm asking what you're drawn to, I want you to think about mediums or formats, I guess, as a starting point. Like what feels comfortable? And I know people will keep saying, just get out of your comfort zone, get out of your comfort zone. And actually, what I invite you to do is to stay in your comfort zone, certainly for the time being, and build some momentum and build some confidence with it. So if you're feeling, actually, I feel really drawn to writing, like writing is my thing, I can do that, it feels comfortable, I can share, start with that. And start with that and doing it consistently and stay in that comfort zone right there. And then ask yourself, how could you increase this consistency? So what we want to do is get to a place where you've got some predictability, not only for you, but for your audience as well. So if your audience or your community, your followers, however you like to label people, if they know that you've got a new piece coming out every Wednesday, Thursday, Friday, great. They're going to expect that. Also, you might just be sharing something every week. So how could you increase this consistency? And you may be going, well, I do it most weeks, but sometimes I just run out of time. Again, we're looking for this consistency. We're looking for this predictability. And also, how can you get more eyes on things? So this is about resharing. This is about pulling out parts of the content and putting it in different places. So almost if you say had a food product, for example, and the aim of the game with that food product is not just to keep making more and more of different things. Like if you make, let's have a think. If you make a special kind of cupcake, for example, this is not saying, well, I've got giant cakes, I'm going to do breads, I'm going to do pastries, I'm going to do all of these things. This might be for you going, I just need more people to try my little cupcakes. I need to think about who else might like those things. So when you're thinking about content in this way, feel free just to sprinkle your content around and share it with lots of different people. So create the system and make it real. So once you've established your containers, once you've made decisions about when you want to post, what you want to share, I want you to start to create some sort of workflow. So whether that's using Asana or Trello, or maybe you want to create a spreadsheet, create that system and make it real. So imagine you're taking yourself out of that equation. How would somebody know if somebody else was running what you're running that these things are definitely going to happen? Or if they looked at your content 2 weeks from now, they might be like, oh, yes, okay, there's a few ideas in this container. Oh, we could do this, this, and this, or we need to film this, or you need to write that article, whatever it might be. But make it real. Make a decision that things are going to be put in place rather than getting to that point of going, I don't really feel like it today, especially if you want growth in your personal brand, in your business. Make it a non-negotiable. And again, because I'm about self-care, I'm about mental health, how can you support tired, overwhelmed, it's too hard you? I support this version of me by batching, by making a decision and going, right, that day is a content day and I'm just going to film and I'm going to get myself in the zone and I'm going to turn everything else off and I'm going to make sure that I've had a really good breakfast and I've got some good food in the fridge for lunch, and I'm going to do that all in one. If I let myself get to a point where I'm like, la, 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 I should really put something on the internet today, I'm not going to do it. But if I know, oh, that's going out a week on Wednesday, I know that I'm going to be supporting myself. So ask yourself this same question. What do you need? How can you pay attention to your needs and really take care of them? So here is a little recap of what we've been talking about. Firstly, observe. Observe what is going on in the world. So this could be observing the conversations or what people are struggling with at the moment, or the pain points or the trends in your industry, or stuff that you feel drawn to talk about. Then find a way to capture them. So this is about putting it into your containers and going, oh, I could make something about this, or there's an idea here, or I'm not really sure what it might be, but I'm going to put it down anyway. The next bit is actually creating it. So carving out that time and going, right, I'm going to make 3 videos. They're going to be 5 minutes long, and I'm going to do that in the next hour. I'm going to give myself little breaks in between, but I'm going to do that. Then thinking about where and how you want to share it, and then moving into sharing generously. So this could be emailing one of your best pals and saying, look, I made this video. I feel like some people in your organization might like it. Would you mind sending it and sharing it with somebody? And if, say, for example, you did that with 10 of your pals and they shared it with 100 people, suddenly that video that you're putting out there is starting to grow. It's starting to really kind of bubble and expand and create more impact. And finally, discuss. Now, be available for the conversation. So you might put a video out there. Be available if people want to ask questions. Open that conversation. Say that you're available, but also discuss with yourself after you created content. So if somebody is saying, this is what I've been waiting for my whole entire life, great. There's something in there. Take that data, take that information and do something different and go, maybe there's a series in this. Maybe I need to go deeper. Maybe I need to go broader and wider. And why aren't people talking about this? It will allow you to go again in a way that feels, again, deliberate and intentional. And so you can really give people what they need. So this is the final exercise that you may want to do. I want you to write down 100 ideas. And these could be absolutely imperfect ones. So within this 100, it could be stuff that you like, stuff that you've done, processes that you can share, things that are absolute no-nos in your business, a book that inspired you, how you start your day, what you wish people had told you along the way. There are so many different things that you can share where people are going to go, oh, that's so useful. And again, bring your creativity, bring your version and what you do to the table. If you want to ask me anything about content, you're more than welcome to. But also, I'm going to open up the floor now for questions.